Welcome back to another message crawler demo. Today I want to show you how to import and export data using jobs in Message Crawler 7. Let's go to my screen and I'll show you how it's done. So in the last video we looked at documents, logs, and searches very quick. Now let's go to jobs and actually do a job to import some data. So I'm going to click on new and I'm going to select import and I'm going to say Slack demo. So this is going to be the name of the job. And here on the bottom, I'm going to add a data source. So here I'm going to say this is a Slack import. And I'm going to, I can either browse or I can paste the path. I can also add a custodian here where I can say new. And I can say demo custodian. We can save and close. So we can assign a custodian to a specific data source. All right. Next, what we can do is configure our processing profile and batch size. Right now, we're going to leave them alone, but very quickly, batch size is how data is going to be split up in order to be ran on multiple threads and multiple computers. There are some default options that are set. Probably don't change them unless you don't like them. 0 means automatic. Now, processing profile is what kind of work we're going to be doing with the data after it gets ingested or during. So are we going to be downloading attachments for Slack? Are we doing things like that? And so we can configure a profile. And we're going to talk about profiles later there in this section. But right now, we're just going to have a short message profile. That's a default, and we're just going to go with. So let's close the job. And I'm going to save it. And by the way, you'll see there's lots of stuff going on here. Some of it doesn't even work. It's just kind of been planned on, like this run on the server. That's just an idea I had. It's not done. This is all going to get cleaned up. So don't be looking too much at the user interface and going like, oh, is that thing the thing over there? It's going to need to be changed. Like I have 2 delete buttons here. We're looking at pre-beta version. So this is not even qualified to be beta. Anyway, we're getting distracted. So we have a job. It's in a staging state. And we're going to do run job. And now we can say how many threads do we want to use to run this job. Now it's actually not going to matter because it's small, but I can just enter 4. And then I run this. We'll see we have 4 threads created. Oh, we actually have all 4 threads being used. And all 4 threads did something. So now if I go to my documents and I'm going to look at the import job, I will see that I have my Slack demo. And if I click on it, somehow my databases have, oh, there we go. And this is the data we just loaded, right? Slack demo, we can scroll to the right. We see our files, messages. This is the same data set I've used 10 million times. Nothing really special about it. But now that we were able to load it. So if I go into my job, the other things you'll see now is besides data source, we have job tasks. So this is where we can divide our work into multiple pieces. So there are different tasks were created. And there are also log items. So we actually did get an error here saying, I'm trying to the user. I think this is okay. So this is where the log is, and this gonna display a subset of this log that is specific to the job. So we see in all the same errors are going to be here also. But here we see in only the ones that are relevant to this specific job. So that's kind of how jobs work, right? You have a data source of some sort. The data gets divided into smaller chunks. And then here we have a log that tells you what's going on during different stages. So let's do the other process now, and let's export some data. So I'm going to create a new job, and I have 2 export options. And I know there is a lot, don't worry about that. We have export conversations and export documents. So documents is going to export basically whatever you see in a grid view. You see it'll export that file with data how it is. Export conversations will actually group documents together. It'll group short messages together into, well, conversations. So we can call this export 1. And now we need to specify search. So when we loaded data, a search for our Slack demo data was automatically created, so we're just going to pick that. And now we need a folder we want to export this to, so let me quickly make a folder, and I'm going to paste it right here. And then we can also have profile, right? So what kind of profile, which means how the data is going to be split. So it's actually worth going into here, and if we go to our conversation profile, this is where we can configure how RSMF files are going to be generated. So this is probably the coolest part of version 7. So we can select if we want to do multiple exports at the same time. So we can do RSMF, PDF, and EML all at the same time. We can choose how to slice the data, so daily, weekly, monthly. We can say what time zone do we want to slice it in, so we can offset the time zone during slicing. How many messages, the max number of messages, max size, and so on. The next thing people have been asking is to do different fields for cross-reference versus what goes in the header versus what goes in the body. So that is something we can do as well. We can write different fields to different areas. And on the bottom, we have all the boring stuff that was in version 6, you know, what version to use, what platform, all that fun stuff. Show images, all good. And then we have our folder in here. So we can specify what fields to use for folder level 1, folder level 2, folder level 3. So what we can do is, now we can folder things, let's say by custodian. We can make a folder by custodian, then folder by, you know, RSMF PDF export type, and we can choose any field we want, how to name the exported files. So really, really cool, very excited about. This is the part that needs most testing because this is super complex. I mean, the amounts of if, then, else going on here is pretty next level. So this is the part that I'll be focusing on testing, and if you are joining that pre-beta testing, this is what needs to be all tested out. Okay, so we have the profile selected here. We have a path. I'm going to close it and save it, and I'm going to run it. Click run. Oh. And let me close this guy. Hold on. Something's broke. Refresh. Run. To export conversations. All right, here we go. We got our RSMF files, and we have our cross-reference file. So, job finished. The other one didn't finish. That was the thing. Don't worry about that. That's basically how we're going to be getting data in and out of Message Crawler 7 is by using jobs. All right, thank you for checking out this update. I will see you on another.